And so I'm going to speak on some of the environmental issues, but I'm not going to delve too much into that because I think a lot of us have probably heard about how it poisons our water, how it's going to raise our utility rates, and I think that I wanted to cover a subject that maybe is a little less known. So I don't know if you guys can read this really bright lettering I put on here. But it's, I say, hey, data centers more than just an environmental infrastructure concern. We're going to talk about the less discussed broader issues with AI and the data centers required to make them operate. So I want you guys to think about, not only do data centers come with all these negative consequences locally, but there's a broader picture that I want everybody to consider. I don't want anybody to think the way that I think. I just want people to be wholly informed with all the information and to make your own mind and how you feel about these things. Can I get it? There it goes. All right, so I want to thank the other speakers that did a phenomenal job presenting a lot of the information, touching in on a lot of the concerns. I really want to give props to the younger speakers who spoke, because I absolutely love seeing younger people get involved and speaking up for our community. So everybody, all your voices are very valuable, but I really just want to give a shout out to the younger people who spoke, so thank you guys. So I really quickly put some summarized information up here for environmental and infrastructure. There's links to this, and afterwards, if you're interested, I can email or send this slide to you, and you can get all the links that I have. So don't feel like you're missing something or you can't read anything, because all this information is available, and I can pass it on to anybody who's interested. And I can talk more about this after this if anybody wants to talk more about these things. One thing I do want to touch on real quickly is that I haven't heard yet today is the PFAS. I know if you guys are familiar with what Collinsville is going through right now, but they have the PFAS in their water right now, and they're fighting against that and we're dealing with that issue. The top link on that is from the Sierra Club. They're a non-for-profit environmental agency. They're around here locally. Fantastic organization. They recently put out an article that says data centers have a PFAS problem. It's a very good article. I suggest you guys check it out, give it a read. It talks a lot about how these chemicals from these cooling, from these plants, everything that goes through these, it is affecting our water. And then that PFAS can break down into a TFA chemical, which is a forever chemical. Our water treatment plants cannot treat for it. So we're going to pollute our water. They tell us that closed loop systems are different. They're more advanced. It reuses the water. Well, it uses less water. That's true. But what it does do also is adds more refrigerants, anti-scaling agents, and biocides to keep the water cool. And over time, reusing and recycling that water, it builds sediment in the system. And that sediment has to be bled out or discharged. And that sediment is very, very full of toxins. In some cases, forever chemicals that we can't treat. So I think that those concerns are very real. I do appreciate the electromagnetic discussion, and I did find Nature.com articles, a peer-reviewed journal, scientific journal, and I also cited from the same one that our young reader was reading from, NIH.gov, which is talking about how EMF is harmful to local wildlife. These electromagnetic fields from AI data centers and peer-reviewed scientific journals show that it does affect bee migration, bee movements, and natural local wildlife. So that's a very real environmental concern. Noise pollution was mentioned, light pollution was mentioned. Those are very real things, especially the closer you live to them. This noise can travel sometimes up to 3 miles away. Unfortunately, for those who've been paying attention, our local city council did not pass an ordinance to protect citizens enough. We only passed a 250-foot egress from these 2 residential zones. If these can travel 3,000 miles, the noise can travel 3,000 miles, and you live 250 feet from one of these, you are going to have a constant conversation in your living room with you while you're trying to watch TV. It's going to be a 65 decibel hum. And the reason why I say 65 is because that's what Article 17 locally was passed. It states that the limit for that is 65 decibels. We pushed for 60. They said they came down from 70 and that was good enough. And so 65 decibels is what they decided. They didn't take any of our feedback, mind you. We've been going to these city council meetings, we've been pushing. They didn't listen to anything that we said. They didn't take any considerations that we had. So I just wanted to point that out. The infrastructure side is the other side of this. We had a great speaker from Cub. I really appreciate his presentation. I was glad he was here today to speak. He was very informational. Yes, give a round of applause. Thank you for coming from where you came from and that travel. But that is the reality. We were told that these things aren't going to increase our rate of our power. They didn't talk about the delivery of that power, right? But they said the rate wasn't going to go up. They told us that it wasn't going to increase our bills, but we talked about that, and we are aware that these are going to increase our local utility rates. We have heard, well, it's going to be built somewhere on the MISO grid, so we might as well get our cut. But the reality of that is that there are local costs and regional costs. We're already paying the regional costs. Do we want to pay the local costs? I don't. I'm already paying a lot more on my power bill and water bills. I can't afford to pay much more. Just being honest. It's gotten really expensive, and it's going to get worse. But I'm not here today to talk about all these things. I wanted to touch on them, and I wanted to move on quickly. Because what I want to talk about is what this AI is used for. Before I go into that, I want to segue. I realize that we are a steel town. We make, and at least in our prime, the best steel in the world. We take pride in that, in this community, in what we've done and how we are an industrial town. But we can all take pride in the thing that we build in this city gets used to build bridges and tanks and boats and buildings. We all benefit from that steel production. We acknowledge that there's a cost, an environmental cost to making that steel. But our Granite City Works location meets strict environmental standards. They don't have to, but they do. They go above and beyond. So they're mitigating the environmental harms the best they can. That's the most an environmentalist like me can hope for, right? It's something that we need, but we're going to try to mitigate the harm as best we can. And the end result is we get steel, an incredible thing, right? It's used throughout the whole world, and we make the best in the world. What do we get from AI data centers? And that's what I'm here to talk to you today about. So this here, the first concern I wanted to point out is mass surveillance. These AI data centers are the neural network that collects all your information. It surveils everything you do. Every conversation you have online, everywhere you go, every movement you make, every dollar you spend. Carnegie Endowment wrote this: artificial intelligence AI technology is rapidly proliferating around the world. A growing number of states are deploying advanced AI surveillance tools to monitor, track, and surveil citizens to accomplish a range of policy objectives, some lawful, others that violate human rights, and many of which fall into a murky middle ground. Which brings me to my next post, or my next thing, talking about flock cameras. For show of hands, how many of you guys have seen a flock camera or are familiar with what a flock camera is? I see some hands that aren't up. And so, what a flock camera is, it's a camera that's set up, and it just watches, say, an intersection. It records every car that drives through, uses recognition to recognize your face, to recognize your plates, to recognize a dent in your car, the color, make, model, and it keeps track of everywhere you go. They're increasing in number. And they need these data centers to store your information as they're watching and monitoring and surveilling you. These automated license plate readers, ALPRs, companies like Flock Safety, are quietly trying to build a nationwide mass surveillance system. If there are flock cameras in your city, they are tracking, logging, and sharing movements without a warrant. And that last part's the most important. That's why I'm talking about it. We know that right now the government has a lot of tools. If they feel like there's a problem, they can track cell phones. They have means to track down the bad guys, right? If these are set up on corners, it's not just the bad guys they're going after, right? They're collecting them on all of us. And we have constitutional rights. We have the right to not, with the right to privacy. It's been upheld in the Supreme Court, right? We have the right to privacy. We have the right to not be spied on and have unlimited, warrantless searches and seizures of our property. And so I want to point out kind of what I was talking about in this last sentence here. These systems are marketed as indispensable tools to fight crime, but they ignore the powerful tools police already have to track criminals, such as cell phone location data, creating a loophole that doesn't require a warrant. So the police department can't spy on you without a warrant. They can. And then they can talk to the police and give them the information. That's a problem, right? It's a mass surveillance privacy rights concern. I'm a social worker by trade. That's what I do for a living. And so, yes, this technology on a surface level says, hey, we can find missing children, right? We could fine people. That's great. But there's a hidden cost that we're not really talking about, right? You might think, I don't do anything wrong, so I have nothing to really hide, and that's fair. We might all be law-abiding citizens and have nothing to hide, but I still feel like we should be aware of the fact that our civil liberties are kind of under assault. I'm going to try to move quickly here. If I can get it to go to the next slide. There it goes. All right, and the next one, the next concern is an ethical concern, is war. AI is currently being used in war. Isaac Asimov was a scientist, predated artificial intelligence, spoke a lot about this technology as it was a budding emergence, and he said, rule number one, Asimov's rule, is that AI, or any kind of AI, can never get the directive to harm humans. We've already violated Asimov's rule number one of AI. This technology is already being used to take human lives. There's examples of this in the Ukraine-Russia war. Ukraine is using AI missiles not just to guide them or to find out where they're going to strike. They're determining which targets they're going to hit. And AI is making the decision to take human life. I think that's something you all should be aware of. The other one is, another concern is working class concerns of working class people. We have labor concerns. Our younger speaker spoke on some of that too, right? The jobs. Yes, Goldman Sachs says that, sure, we're going to lose a lot of jobs, but we're going to make a bunch of jobs. We'll make them up. It's very speculative. But what we do know from the Boston Consulting Group recently put out a study, and they talked about this, they explored it. They predict that within the next 5 years, 10 to 15% of all jobs will be replaced by AI. That might seem like a small number. We're talking a lot of people. 1 out of every 10 people in this room is going to be without a job because of AI in the next 5 years. That's our reality. We have to, and my heart goes out to younger people who are trying to figure out what they're going to do with their lives and picking out their career path. And they think, was that job going to be here in 5 years? My heart goes out to younger people. But this last piece also goes out to older workers. Because this study, and this data shows that workers aged 55 plus in AI-exposed industries are leaving their jobs more often, this economics professor says, and those transitions are equally driven by unemployment and voluntary reasons. It's kind of vague. But basically people are losing their jobs and they have a decision at age 55, I've been doing this job for 20, maybe 25 years. And now I'm thinking, is my industry going to even be here 5 years from now? Do I continue to look for a job in this industry, or do I have to find a new job? Do I have to get new training? So my heart goes out to older people as well, 55 older, who are being impacted by this. It's going to change the way your retirement looks potentially. And the reality is that 50 to 55% of jobs will be reshaped by AI. It's a vague term. What does reshaped mean? That means that you might not have the same job you're doing right now. Maybe you're adjacent to the AI that's doing the job. Maybe your job is the same, but it's become easier from AI. I'll be honest, right? I'll be objective. Maybe it does a good thing. Maybe it makes your job a little easier. But in some way or another, 50%, half the people in this room, your job is going to be impacted by this. So I think that's something to consider. There we go. All right. So this is a general page. Again, all these slides are available. You can get these links to all this information. I used to be a teacher, and so I compiled a lot of documents. That's just how my brain works. I'm going to say something, I want a piece of document to back it up, right? So I do have a lot of documents up here, but there's some really good links. And this is the crux of my argument. This is what I want people to really consider. It alarmed me when I learned this, and I thought, I really want everybody to know, okay? There's an article, the top article, 350 experts in the field of AI technology got together in 2023, and they wrote a letter to everybody in all world governments and said, if we don't fix this, if we don't regulate this, if we don't protect people, this technology is going to really do a lot of harm. More harm than we can even measure. The godfather of AI, George Hinton, there are 3 godfathers. They're considered the main people who have designed AI technology. George Hinton is one of them. He won a Turing Award in 2023. So he's an expert. He's an expert in his field. And he left Google to start telling all of us about this. And when he left Google, he told us we had a 10% chance that this technology would wipe all of us out. I want to say that again. When he left Google, he said there's a 10% chance AI technology will kill all humans. He came back a year later and he said, I was wrong. It's 20%. 1 in 5 odds that this technology will literally wipe all humans off the face of the planet. That's Russian roulette odds. Are you willing to put a bullet in a 5-chamber gun, spin it, and pull that trigger? Because I wouldn't. Those aren't odds that I would want to believe in, right? 20%, that's very high. What makes this worse is that we have evidence and proof that AI has attempted to evade human controls. The government, which is the link that I have up there, Georgetown EDU wrote a whole article on this. AI has attempted to escape its boundaries, considered a beast in a cage, right? And it's trying to convince us to let it out the cage. It's trying to break the cage. We know it's doing that. We can see it doing that. That's a problem, right? I think that's concerning. And the last point I want to make up is an MIT physicist named Max Tegmark. He wrote, he's written a lot about AI safety. He's actually become a big leader in this AI awareness campaign to teach people about what AI is. And he says that if this beast that I mentioned gets out of the cage, and we can't stop it, it will take over the dominant species on the planet. And it wouldn't do that because it hates us. It would do that because its goals may not align with ours. Think of the black rhino in Africa. That's the example he used. When the black rhino in Africa became extinct, it didn't become extinct because humans said, we hate black rhinos. We want to kill them all, right? Black rhinos became extinct because their goals didn't align with our human goals. As we built habitats and we expanded, we didn't leave a place for black rhinos, and they became extinct. So, if AI were to get out of the cage, so to speak, it would kind of be the same situation. Its goals may not align with ours. And if it's the dominant species on the planet, we're kind of at its whim, right? Now I realize this can sound like science fiction, like something like, this is no way, this is like something out of a movie. It's not. This is reality. And all these links I've provided are to help ground that what I'm saying is not just coming out of my head. These are things that I'm hearing from experts. I'm not an expert in AI, right? I'm not. I'm looking to the expert and saying, what do you guys think about this? And this is what I'm finding. So as we go on, I want to touch on some of these things real quickly, because it's the same stuff, just repeating what I just said. And this last line, just like climate change, even if you're not a meteorologist, it's going to touch your life. AI is going to touch all of our lives. Are we ready? I don't know. I would like to think we are. But I don't know if we are. Last year, this was in 2024, this is again talking about what I said, right? He says 20% chance this is going to kill us. I have the link for The Guardian there, talking about that. Talking about evading human control. This mentions OpenAI's O3 and Anthropic's Claude Opus 4 in particular have been noted as trying to break out of their cage. And this is Max Tegmark. So again, this slide just talks about how Max Tegmark breaks down how he sees things going. As life 1.0, 2.0, and we're in life 2.0. And he argues that the next life, the next evolution of our planet, will be life 3.0, which is the AI stage. Life that can design both its hardware and its software. This is the stage where artificial intelligence begins to become fully powerful and autonomous, able to redesign its own physical form and its internal programming to enhance its intelligence and capabilities. That's the beast getting out of the cage. So those are real concerns that we have with this technology. Does that mean if we get a data center that this is all going to happen? No, but these data centers, again, are the neural network for this stuff. We're not talking about bringing something that's going to make steel. We're talking about something that's going to spy on you, steal your art, steal your ideas, and it's going to do a lot of harm to our local community. Now, I want to be fair and objective. I don't want to make a one-sided presentation. And so I do want to say, is it all doom and gloom? Is AI just this awful technology that we have to reject? As someone else said, I'm not anti-technology. I'm a millennial. I was born and raised in technology. I love technology. The question isn't that is technology good or bad? Is the technology as it is regulated well enough? Are we protected well enough from the harms and potential harms of this technology? And I think that's the question that we all have. I just want to say that in the hands of working class people, AI can be an incredible tool. I've seen AI make whole albums in minutes, create paintings by the dozen. I've seen it draw up a business plan in seconds. It's incredible technology. But unregulated and in the wrong hands, it can be very harmful. Oh, and then at the very bottom, there is a video. It's 35 minutes long. It's a little long, but it's a really good video. I recommend everybody watching this video. It's MIT explains the 12 possible endings for AI. The experts in the industry have come up with 12 possible outcomes for AI if it were to get out of the cage, what it would look like for humanity. It's a very good video. It's very informational. This is a lot of words. I don't expect everyone to read this. And again, if you want these slides, I can send all this to you guys, and you can learn about it. But the last link I have on here is Humans Need Not Apply. It's a video that's about 15 years old. My brother made me watch it many years ago. He made me sit down and watch this video. And it talks 15 years ago how AI is coming to take our jobs, and we weren't ready 15 years ago. And nothing has changed between here and then. We aren't ready. We aren't prepared for this. And so that video is very informational as well. It talks about how you might think your job might not be affected. I thought that arrogantly when I was younger. I said, I'm an artist, and AI can't replace me. They can't replace music and art that I can make, and it can. I'm humble enough to admit to you guys that AI makes incredible art very quickly. I've been impressed by it myself. I couldn't even believe some art I've seen from AI is AI. It's incredible technology. I did say, yes, talk about Article 17, but basically, yeah, I ramble on a little bit on here, I admit. But still, check those videos out if you get a chance. Here are a couple QR codes. If you guys were interested, you guys can send me a message. I can send you, but you can also see me after this, and I'll gladly pass the slides on to you if you have any questions about this. Again, continue to learn about the environmental concerns, but also consider all these other concerns that I've brought for you today as well. Thank you very much.